What do we think is going to come later this year?
People are struggling. Small businesses are closing.
It's those few stocks are really what's pulling it around.
That's the part that's not being talked about. Even my mother and I talked about the home buying situation. Hey, I'm learning a little bit about the Dom. You guys should see the spruced up one or the paid for data one. It's crazy to watch to see where the orders are all sitting. I want to figure it out. We're just sitting. We've got gold up on screen. I've got S&P up off screen, and I guess the chairman is sneezing or something. There's nothing he's going to say we don't already know. We already know NAVs is gonna keep going up. We know the indices is still going up. We know that the value of any of these instruments are not also going up, so how they're going up, we just have no idea. But remember, we've talked on and off about how this is an election year. Do we think that with the talk of supply shortages and everything else, okay, with the talk of everything, the truckers being laid off, right? There's a lot going on economically around the world, but the whole world is having shortages. And then there's the election. What do we think is going to come later this year? Because I think there's a lot going on, guys. There's a lot to digest here. Anybody still think we're going to end high on these indices and cryptos? I think we're going to end high on cryptos, but maybe not indices.
Yeah, the indices threw me off because especially with Nas, how overly bullish, it is just based off of a few stocks. I thought there would be a pullback, so it, sort of give a little breather so it could actually end the year at a higher note. Crypto's moving, and well, specifically Bitcoin is moving more as far as, finding some liquidation a little bit lower and then, pushing up for the latter part of the year, leaning into 2025. But right now, the indices has me thrown off. But then again, it could just keep pumping and then just, dip real aggressively. But right now, as far as fundamentals and the way everything is showing, there's no catalyst. It would take a black swan event for really that to happen, in my opinion.
It's all about the Magnificent Seven right now. And, you look at their weighting in NAS especially, it's those few stocks are really what's pulling it around because you'll see these big green days and it's only, you know, 5 or 7 stocks.
True.
Everything else is a sea of red.
That's so true. Because even in what is it, Nvidia is still doing huge things, but then look at the rest of every single thing else. It's completely red. Like they're down measurably, but then this couple of things are up, and then everything's still up. Makes no sense. Monetarily, it makes no sense.
Hey, you look at if you just use common sense and just sort of fill out the economy, like talking to your friends and people and what's going on, apart from like these few AI companies and, some of the more mainstream companies like the Amazons or whoever the case may be, people are struggling. Small businesses are closing. Major chains are closing. Like Mod Pizza. I don't know if y'all. That was one of the articles that crossed my eyes the other day. They're closing 500 locations, and there's been other companies like that are downsizing because consumers aren't spending as much anymore. I think people are finally starting to feel that. The credit debt is there. We're pretty much living off of that credit debt. The home market and the buying market isn't really that great right now. People who are putting houses for sales can't sell them in great communities. So the market is saying otherwise, and a few of these companies are doing well, but the economy is also saying otherwise. That we're feeling this. We're not trying to spend as much money. Of course, those people who are like maybe in the 1% or people who are making a really good salary may not be feeling the impacts of it right now. But as far as blue chip, blue collar people, people who are working a regular hourly salary, they're definitely feeling the adverse effects of the economy right now.
Yeah, but that's the part that's not being talked about. Even my mother and I talked about the home buying, situation. The news is making it seem like there's no inventory, but the world is telling us otherwise. So there's a lot of people who simply can't sell their homes. Like they haven't been able to sell. There's no buyers. Like there's another side to all this. People are hurting. Like there's tons of what is it? Family Dollars closing 500 or whatever locations. Like it's 10-20% of all retail locations are closing in the next 3 to 6 months from a whole bunch of different chains. That's a lot. That's a lot. That says people are spending different.
I don't know that it's that there's no buyers. It's just that there's no buyers at that price. The
That
market got stupid.
that for sure.
I moved to Texas back in 86, I think it was 86. And it was right after they'd had the big savings and loan bust down there. And there were all these houses that people were just walking away from because they'd taken loans at one amount, and the market had dropped down to a fraction of the amount. It was cheaper for them to walk away and take the kids on their credit and have the house repossessed. So you'd be driving through neighborhoods of relatively new houses, and there'd be signs up, $100 and resume payments. You could
How
buy a house for $100 down.
how long ago was that, Scott?
This was 1986.
That's not that long ago. Not in the big picture,
That's
not
insane. There's no way if you're not making over like probably 100K for per household, I don't think there's any way you can get into a home, and even 100K is cutting it short.
at 6% interest with perfect credit, yeah. 6% interest, $200,000 down on perfect credit, you're still looking at you need to be part of the 1%.